This is Sailor Eric. We're here in New Buffalo on the dock, and I thought it'd be fun to cook some bread using the sailboat's oven. But first what we're going to do is we're going to mix up the dough. That's step one. So we got to start with 3 cups of flour. Three cups of flour. Now we're going to throw in 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. Bread recipe is not going to require a lot of kneading or a lot of work. It's just a simple little recipe that I'm going to use to quickly make the dough. Yeah, I always got to make sure I get those abbreviations right, because the difference between a tablespoon and a teaspoon is a lot. That's your teaspoon. We need 2 teaspoons of that. And we're using kosher salt, which is cooking salt. That's different from like sea salt or other types of salt. And the last thing is warm water. And I did go ahead and heat this up a little bit, and I tested it, and it is not, I never got it close to boiling, but I wanted to heat it up so it's nice warm water. And we need 1.5 cups of that. Yep, that's definitely warm. And I'm just kind of eyeballing 1/2 cup here. There we go. And the warmth is going to facilitate the rise of the dough. Why bread? All the ingredients can be dry stored. Flour, salt, yeast, water, no refrigeration required. Serving something hot on a boat is sustaining and good for morale, especially in trying circumstances. It's simple, and there are many varieties and techniques to choose from once you get the basic skills down, which is what we want. We want it to rise in a reasonable amount of time. The warm water is going to help with that. And all I got to do now is mix it in the bowl. I feel it kind of stiffening it up. It's stiffening and clumping up, which is good, because when you first do it, it kind of looks like, is that enough water? But the recipe, that's what the recipe calls for. And sure enough, as I keep stirring, this gets clumpier and clumpier and more dough-like. So take a look at that. You can see it's starting to form up, less powdery and more clumps. So I went back and I looked at the directions and made sure and checked what I used. I realized that I used this cup, and I put a full and then a half. And this is a 1/2 cup. So that turned out to be 3/4 of a cup, which was too little water. So I realized that and then just doubled up the water. And now I've got a full 1.5 cups of water in here. That's how it looks. All right, I've been at this for, I don't know, it feels like under 10 minutes, but more than 5. And I feel like I finally got, this looking like dough. And I think the next step is to cover this and let it rise. As sailors, we maintain and use many systems on a boat, and a propane oven should be no exception. Cooking for ourselves is a necessary skill that can easily evolve a prolonged sail beyond simple survival and into a sustainable, healthy, and pleasant experience. On a boat, your space is limited, and it's a trick to have everything you need aboard. But here's my cling wrap. But for somebody that doesn't have cling wrap, just covering up any way you can should be just fine. We're all learning on the fly here, which is the fun part of it. All right, see you in a couple hours. We are on the second stage of making this bread. I preheated this oven I just warmed up these bread pans, so they've been in there for about 10 minutes. The dough has been sitting out of the fridge for approximately 30 to 40 minutes. So it is warming up to room temperature. And now what I'm gonna do is take a stirring stick like this, and I'm gonna reshape it. Here's what the dough looks like. So now I'm going to just kind of work it a little bit in here. It's contracting as I do it. There's a lot of air bubbles from the yeast, which kind of fermented it a little bit. I've got that parchment paper laid out. We're just gonna work it a little more so the flour makes it a little bit easier to work with. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw a little olive oil on a paper towel and coat one of those bread pans. So that means when I take the bread out, it should be easier to come out. Place this bread in the pan. Okay. Now we're gonna put this back in the oven. And it's 7:05 right now, so we will wait 30 minutes. 30 minutes, we'll check on it. We'll take off the cover, put it back in until it's golden brown. Fun stuff. My first loaf of bread on the boat. Complements for freshly baked bread on a boat include butter, olive oil, balsamic or flavored vinegars, herbs, cheeses, peanut butter, jams and jellies, or gravy. Bread is a great complement to most meals and will last up to 3 days unrefrigerated after baking. All right, I think the bread looks pretty done. It's got a nice golden crust around it, so I'm gonna pull it out of there. It has taken longer than expected. The recipe said basically 45 minutes. We're at about an hour now. And I think that's just because I'm not well calibrated to this propane oven. But nonetheless, we're going to pull this bread pan out and see how this guy looks. And we'll test it using the old fork test. But man, 11, I think that looks good. Woo! It's a hot pan. So I'll bring you over to take a look. Wunderbar! Okay, and we'll stick the knife in there. I gotta tell you right off the bat, that's done, baby. It's not sticky. That is a done piece of bread. We're gonna let it cool for a little bit, and then we're gonna try some fresh bread on the boat. All right, you missed the first bite, but you'll see the second. Here it is. It's piping hot. You can see steam coming off it. I didn't wait very long for it to cool. That's some good stuff. All right. Nice hot breakfast. I want to thank all my subscribers for your support. I really appreciate it. If you stayed to watch this video through the end, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. This is Sailor Eric. Thanks for watching.